Welcome to another nerdy wordy video, and in this video we're going to talk about WordPress as it specifically applies to writers and authors. Now, if you need a beginner's primer to WordPress, I suggest you jump into the one I wrote for AuthorBuzz, which I'll link to in the description below. Now, we're going to start off on a new project site called Authortastic, which I'm currently developing, which will be a resource teaching skills to authors and writers. But for this particular tutorial, we're going to look at some of the preparatory work you may wish to do in order to get the most out of your author blog. And we're going to be assuming that you're going to be using WordPress. Many of these principles apply to other website management systems, but we're specifically looking at WordPress today. Let's jump into the admin area. Your admin area is likely to look fairly similar on a fresh installation. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into the plugins. I'm going to recommend a plugin that will stop any of my advice from breaking your website. Here are all the plugins I've got installed in Authortastic. As you can see, I've activated some but not others, and the one we need is not here, so we're going to go ahead and install it. So we're going to go up to add new, and we're looking for a plugin called redirection. So we type redirection in the search panel and it updates, and there it is. That's the one we want. So we install it and activate it. Brilliant. Now we're back to our plugins, and we scroll down and we find redirection. There it is. Go into settings and run the setup, which is very straightforward. Yep, fantastic. Now there are two options here, one of which I recommend you absolutely must have, and the other one is entirely up to you. One we absolutely must have is to detect changes and redirect old links to new links. The other is whether you want to record IP addresses and 404 hits, but your European legislation compliance page is going to want updating to reflect that. So I'm going to wave the mouse around for a bit, and then I'm going to start the installation process. Here come the tables all getting installed, wonderful, and it's all done. There we go. And here are all some settings. You can play with them if you want, but actually the default settings are perfectly fine for our purposes. So let's jump over to the settings and to permalinks. Permalinks are how your WordPress formats your pages, particularly your post pages. Now, the default for WordPress post pages is to include the date in the URL for the post link. Now, personally, I don't find this particularly helpful. What you should be doing is writing content for your blog posts that is what they call evergreen. That is, posts that are as relevant now as they will be in a year's time, in 2 years' time. Older dates tend to show the age of your post, and when the age is not relevant, that's just useless information. I prefer a hierarchical view, and the way you get that is by saying you want the category names and then the page name. And if you organise your categories as a hierarchy, say for example books, series, sci-fi, the link to your sci-fi blog post will be books, series, sci-fi, name of blog post. This is useful for your readers because it tells them exactly what they're letting themselves in for. It's useful for Google because it tells Google exactly what your page is about. Now, the quickest way to get it organised like that is to click categories, name, and hit save. It will do all the rest for you. Now, you can also rename what categories are and even what tags are. I called my categories topics. Hit save, and if you've got a live blog and you've just changed all of your links, redirection will take care of that for you. Which is why I said to install it, because oh my goodness, if you've got 300 posts and suddenly none of those links work, you're going to lose people. Trust me. Now we've applied some hierarchy to our blog posts, we're going to go over to our pages and look at some pages that you should have. The chances are that your installation of WordPress came with a default about page, which probably looks something like this. Let's go ahead and edit that. The first change I would recommend is, rather than it saying about and it implying what you mean, as you are a writer or an author, I would suggest using your pen name or whatever name you're known by as an author in the about title. Don't be generic, be specific. Obviously, unlike my quick example, you're going to want to take some time to write a good about page. For information on how to write a good about page, you can check out the AuthorBuzz article, and I'll link to that in the description. Now we've updated our about page and made it look wonderful, we are going to add another important page. This is the press page. This is very much like your about page, but should contain resources that a member of the press would find useful. So this is some factoids about you that they can quote, who your publisher is, who your agent is, that sort of thing. Some quotes from you and some good pictures. In this example, I'm not going to be using photos of me because I don't have any photos of me installed on this WordPress. But it is a good idea when you're doing author appearances, when you're doing signings, when you've just dressed up nicely for the evening, make sure there's someone with a mobile phone or with a camera or with something to take pictures of you, because you're going to want a nice variety of portrait and profile pictures that members of the press can use. And if you lack self-confidence like I do, get lots of pictures taken until you find one that you like. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a gallery by going into the different block types, and there we go, there's gallery, and I'm going to add some random pictures that I've uploaded for this project, some stock images. What you would of course do is go and use images that relate to you. I mean, mainly pictures of you that you are happy to appear in press. If you haven't got any pictures that you're happy with, I suggest sitting for a professional portrait, because the least effort that the member of the press has to make in order to write about you, the more likely they are to write about you. I'm going to go over to the settings in a minute, and we're going to make a change. We're going to change the link to media. There are a couple of things you can link to. None is your worst option. You want the journalist is going to write about you to be able to find high quality pictures, and by being able to click the pictures in your gallery and find the big versions, the journalist that's looking to write about you now has all the pictures they could possibly want to put in the newspaper article, and they're happy. Now we're going to go and add a featured image. This is probably one you should have in your gallery. It's the one that you would suggest journalists use by default. By making a featured image, you're already putting it in their head that this is the picture of you. This is the one that says, this is me. I would also use that picture in a sidebar content, in a widget that says about Matt, in my case, or about whatever your name is, so that it becomes synonymous with you in the eyes of your journalist. Now let's preview our page. And in a minute, there we go, there's the press page, our featured image, the gallery, and if we click one of the gallery pictures, there we go, takes us to the big version, which is exactly what we want. Now members of the press can find those big pictures of you on your press page. So that's all good, and if we're happy with that, we can go and publish. Let's take a look. And as you can see, the URL is authortastic.com/about/press. And if we knock off the press, it takes us back to the about page. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a link to the press page to the about page. So let's go and edit that. A press pages are well and good, but the member of the press has to be able to find it. So let's add a new paragraph with a link to our press page. I would actually suggest that you link your press page in your main menu, but it's your site, you do things the way you want. I'm just making recommendations. So now we can click through to the press page from the about page, but we can't get back, so let's fix that. I'm going to go into edit. Let's find a nice place to put, should I put it there? No, let's put it up here. And we're going to say, don't forget to read my about page, because that's all important information too, and we're going to make a link to that. Now you could say to my about me page, but it'd be much better to use your name. Let's just copy and paste it, because I'm having a dyslexic moment. So in my case, that's Authortastic spelled correctly. Come on, Brown, sort yourself out. Sorted. And then we highlight the text we're going to send to a link, type about, it finds it for us. There we go, all done. Easy. And we hit publish, or update rather. And that's really all there is to it. Let's talk about another kind of page you may wish to use, and that is the press release. There's nothing wrong with having a press release as blog posts, but I would suggest that press releases are a subcategory of press. So in this example, I'm going to add a press release as a child page of the press page. There is an AuthorBuzz post written by me about using press releases, and I'm sure I'm going to talk about press releases in a future video. Ideally, these press releases should be press releases you've actually sent out. Although there's nothing stopping you just writing a press release and sticking it up there as a form of content. Doesn't help, but doesn't hurt either. And perhaps writing your first press release could be a writing exercise you do to get you into the whole marketing game. So when you're happy with your press release, and you've probably got a quote in there as well, because good press releases have quotes and say something good about the topic, and you check the spelling. There we go, fixed that. And now we're going to go and publish. Now let's go and look at that. Here's our press release, but oh no, we've made a mistake. It should be part of press. So let's go in, and we're going to change the parent page to the press page. We're going to update. And let's have a look, and now let's have another look at that, and then you can see the URL has changed, and it makes a lot more sense. It's in our hierarchy of pages now. Right, so let's drop back into our press page, and of course we need to make one more change. So let's go into edit, and let's find a good place to put a link to all our press releases. I would suggest a title, correctly spelt, and you can convert a paragraph to a title. There we go, heading, bang, done. Right, and now we're going to type the name of the press release, make it into a list entry, highlight it, turn it into a link. There it is, click done. Along with press releases, I would suggest that you put a place for press mentions. Anytime anyone blogs about you, anytime you get any positive coverage at all, put it here, even if it's a tweet. When you're getting started, it's all good, and this will show potential journalists other people are interested in you, because no journalist likes being the only one to have not discovered something. However, when you're new, there is something else you can do, because there's one thing press like more than keeping up with each other. It's getting a head start. So for some holder text, you could always just invite that member of the press to be the first person to write about you. That's what I've done here anyway. And we hit update, and now our press page is effectively complete. We've got some information, we've got some quotes, we've got some pictures, we've got our press releases, and we've got our press mentions. And that's pretty much everything you want on your press page. So let's drop into our list of pages, and as you can see, you've got your about page, your press page, and your press release, and each one is a sub page of the previous one. So it's easy to manage them, and it's clear what they're for and what they're about when people are looking at them, just from the link. Of course, we made a mistake earlier, so let's go and look at redirection in settings, and you can see that the incorrect link to our press release page is now redirecting to the correct link for a press release page. So if this has gone out, say a week ago, and we sent a whole bunch of links to people, don't have to worry about contacting everyone and saying, oh, can you update your links? The old link will work. It will just quietly redirect people to the new link, which I think is quite nice. And so if you've made any other changes to your blog, all of those will be reflected in the same way. That's why at the beginning I said to install that particular plugin, because it really is extremely helpful. That is our quick dip into WordPress. And if you're still watching, you're an absolute legend. Thank you very much for watching through to the end. That really does help with the old YouTube metrics, I'm told. I will see you in the next video. And until then, stay nerdy.